a mic this morning here. However, I am J.D. Williams with Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation. And we're going to get started. First, we are going to have a welcome by Mayor of Crossett, or the mayor has sent someone. So we're going to let her come up and speak. And welcome, Ian.
Y'all have to excuse me, the pollen is taking full effect on me and probably everyone else today. First, we want to give a warm welcome to everyone joining us for the Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation Community Summit. It's an absolute pleasure to see people come out today and support this. Mayor Marshall sends her regrets. She had full intentions on coming and they had a scheduling conflict, 2 meetings at 11 o'clock. So we swapped ways and here I am. But I'm still really honored to be here representing Mayor Marshall and the City of Crossett. My name is Ashley Pikes and I work for the City of Crossett. I am the Mayor's Assistant and I am also Deputy Clerk Treasurer. We want to express our sincere gratitude to the Arkansas Land Development and to the USDA for picking Crossett to hold this workshop summit. We think it's really important. Here recently, we had Mayor Marshall actually found out about the housing grant in London. And so we had no idea about that. And whenever she found that out, she's actually already helped one person turn in their loan or the application to the grant. And since then, we have really been telling as many people, because if you don't know about it, they're not going to utilize it. And it's such a wonderful thing. I know all of it is, especially the housing part for the elderly and all that. So we were really excited that you guys were coming to Crossett to share this with everybody. Excuse me. We all know that farming and agriculture are not just occupation. They're the lifeblood of our communities, and we believe it's essential for us to recognize the vital role that they play in the world's existence. Today's workshop is an excellent way for you all to learn different resources and opportunities for rural and urban farming, beginner farmers, limited resource farmers, housing, and small businesses. And the more that I've learned just from getting ready for this and also helping the lady that we helped, there really is so much. And I didn't realize what all you guys actually do. And so I encourage you all to take full advantage of everything that they have all worked really hard to prepare for you all. And on behalf of Mayor Marshall and the City of Crossett, we thank you all for coming out. And we really thank you all for having us here today for you guys coming here. Thank you very much.
Next, we're going to have an opening by our own Larry Lofton, our Ag Farm Division Director.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you all so much for coming out, and thank you. Sorry for that name. It's Ashley. Thank you so much for your warm welcome. It is indeed nice to be in Crossett. We Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation. We actually work in 42 counties in Arkansas. So Crossett County, actually, Crossett City, and actually is definitely one of the counties. And we try to plan our meetings throughout the area as best we can. We do about 25 or so meetings a year, and we were looking at the map. Crossett was on the map, and we was thinking, well, it doesn't look like we've been to Crossett for a couple of years. We have one of our employees is from Crossett, so we thought, why not go to Crossett? So it's a beautiful drive, about 3 hours. So, like Dave said, I'm Larry Lofton, and I am happy to be working with farmers and underserved farmers in their communities in Arkansas, as well as parts of Tennessee and Mississippi. Dr. King and his organization, our organization, have worked diligently for over 44 years, trying to bring information to the communities in Arkansas. And by that, I mean that there's a lot of things that go on that sometimes does not reach all the communities, especially the farming communities and some of the underserved communities. But Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation over the years has been holding these types of education outreach meetings to get the information to the people that need it the most. For example, last year, there was a discrimination financial assistance program that closed out in January. Now, a lot of folks have come to us since that time wanting to know if they could apply for that program. We refer to it as DFAP, but it's called Discrimination Financial Assistance Program. So what happened is folks applied, and we conduct these meetings a lot. Folks applied, most of them were accepted into the program, the applications were accepted, and they received a check last August, September. So October, a lot of folks had heard about, well, I think we got a check, can we apply? Unfortunately, when people get something like that, then they start talking about it. Instead of talking about it when there's still time to apply. So we make the effort to do this because we know that there's a tremendous amount of information that folks could benefit from that they don't have an opportunity to. So I invite you to, ask any questions you feel like you need to ask, anything you need to know or you think you want to know, or things that you have been wondering about that pertains to the United States Department of Agriculture or our organization, or just any question you have in general pertaining to agriculture, please, bring those questions up and we'll do our best to answer them. If we can't answer them, we'll find someone who can, or we'll get back to you. So today's program, and I won't talk about travel restrictions with the United States Department of Agriculture, but apparently there are some travel restrictions, and our partners normally participate in these types of meetings and not here today for that reason. I believe we have one or two that's participating on Zoom, which is good. But you understand that right now things are sort of in topsy-turvy regarding budgets and things of that nature. So it'll get straightened out. It always does. But Dr. King is here. He's our president and CEO. And he's the founder, one of the founders anyway of this organization. His wealth of knowledge is immense. Every time I hear him talk, I learn things that I didn't know. So, and I've been working with him for a while now. So I'm sure that he would be able to carry the brunt of this program without any problems. Now, National Resources Conservation Service through USDA, Farm Service Agency through USDA, as well as Rural Development Service through USDA. But generally the topics that we like to discuss, their programs and services that are available to communities like this, as well as to farmers and underserved individuals. There's services available for housing and the like. We also have Ms. Ashley Crosby. She's the director of our housing program. So she will carry the brunt of the rural development presentation today, because that's what she does for the organization. And having said that, we will also cover heirs property. We know that's a big concern in a lot of communities. We know it's a big concern for the Delta area in general. And it's one of those difficult tasks for a lot of people, especially when the families are very, very large. And the longer one wait to deal with or address heirs property, the more complex it's going to be, because as more people are born, that tree, if you start from the owner here and then let that tree branch out, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and more complex. So I would like to tell you that we do work with heirs property owners to help try to resolve heirs property issues. We're having a meeting next Tuesday in our Forest City office to hopefully address heirs property concerns, as well with some emphasis on wills. So heirs property, wills and trusts, or heirs property with estate planning or succession planning, because those are the types of things that can prevent heirs probably from occurring. If titles or if wills are developed or trusts are developed, then usually heirs property is not as much of an issue. But when there are no wills, no trusts, heirs property becomes a very big issue. And Dr. King is well versed in that as well. So, thank you again. Yes.
What time is the ALCDC program gonna be? What time will it start?
10:30.
10:30 in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I think it's from 10:30 to 1. Yes. 10:30 to 1. Where is April 3rd? Where? At Forest City. At the office. We have an office in Forest City on North Broadway. 831 on Broadway.
That's gonna be virtual too, right?
Yes, it'll also be virtual, so you can log in, you'll be able to log in and you can watch it online as well. And you can also ask questions and, they can be addressed online. But we're hoping that folks would enough people will be interested in showing up that would actually want to generate a will. We want to talk about wills, and if folks could just work on wills, bring whatever documents they need to try to establish a will, I think that will start the estate planning process very well. So I'm not going to take up any more time, but I want to thank you all on behalf of our president and our board of directors under the leadership of Dr. Cornelius, that for participating in this meeting today. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I think one of your co-workers said you are an attorney.
I have a JD degree, so I am not a licensed attorney, but I have a law degree.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
I like to talk to you, on the side and chance.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Larry. Next, we're gonna have on program, will be our own, Dr. Calvin King, our president and CEO, and he will go, more detail on the program and resource opportunities, which is outlined in the program, which is from Natural Resource Conservation Service. We have, Farm Service Agency, and I believe they are online. And rural development. And he's going to talk about a little bit, go into a little further with air property challenges that we all face and drone in agriculture. And Doc, you gonna sit there or you gonna? I'm gonna.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning. And let me express my appreciation to the mayor of the city of Crossett for hosting us here today, allowing us to talk to you both about the program that we have to offer as an organization, as well as a partnership organization that participates with us in what we call One USDA. And they have an abundance of resources as it relates to rural community economic development, both from the agricultural perspective, from the housing perspective, from the small business perspective as well. So we're going to engage in discussions around that. And I want everyone to please join in and be a part of the discussion. Ask the questions. That's an amazing thing about not accessing or utilizing the resources that you have at hand. One, if you don't access the resources that you have at hand, then you're going to lose out on the benefits of what they have to offer. Let me give you an example. I have a GPS in my vehicle. Now, I had access to that information today, and the GPS told me which direction to go. As a result of my not paying attention to the GPS and what I asked it to do, I made an assumption based on a sign that I had seen off the interstate. And I went 40 miles out of the way. Now, you know, I mean, I lost time, I plan on being there earlier and things of that nature, but that's just an example. The resources available, and those resources at hand, when you don't access those resources, then you're going to either not benefit from what is available to you, or to a certain extent, then you may end up being, I won't say taken out of the way, but you can't be taken out of the way. If you don't go to the source to get the information, you're more inclined to get misinformation sometimes about depending upon those individuals who may not be as proficient, have as much of a background as those individuals who are working from the agency perspective on an ongoing basis. I'm going to shift and change the program agenda a little. I know we have Natural Resource Conservation Farm Service Agency, and then we have USDA Rural Development, and of course, solution and resources available on air property. Mr. Lawson was giving reference to the resources available on air property and what we do. I will come back and talk some about the drone program, what we do. You know, I want to not introduce you because you all probably know better than I do. Got a young lady that's from Crossett. She's one of your own. And Mr. Lawson gave reference to the fact that she does work with housing, with the organization. But there are some major resources available to USDA as it relates to housing. I was listening to the mayor's representative when she said, well, you know, they didn't know that all of these resources were available through USDA based on the housing need in Crossett. Well, that was a testimony right there to the extent that it's important to have outreach meetings to reach those communities, what we consider as being underserved. And when we say underserved, we're saying you can be underserved for a number of reasons. One, you've been underserved maybe because you just have not gotten the information into your community. As Mr. Lawson again gave reference to the fact that there was an application financial system that was out. Then there was a lot of individuals who did not benefit from the application financial system. Okay. Well, they didn't benefit from it. It'd be for another reason. And I'm going to just sort of note that as being an example of those individuals who are underserved or unserved that could have possibly benefited from this program. Now, I say that for two reasons as to why that may have happened. Well, it may have happened because there were meetings that we held like this, and they just didn't show up. So they missed out. Okay, they may have heard about the meeting and just didn't show up. So they didn't get the details as to what was being offered and how to access those particular resources. It could be that they did not hear about the meeting until after the fact. It could be that they had talked to someone else and gave them misinformation as related to the meetings that were being held and the proper source to go to to access the right information. But you get the same results. You didn't benefit, the individual may not benefit from the resources that's available to them. I'm going to let Ms. Crockett, I'm going to come right back so we can sort of stay on schedule here. And she will talk to you about the USDA Rural Development Program and some of the things that we've been doing as it relates to outreach. And the representative from the mayor's office, I'm going to say, the way outreach is effective when you have local partners. When you have local partners like Crossett community, people in the community, and those individuals that have been elected to leadership positions. You have the information, you know that the resources available, you know how to contact us, how to contact the USDA Service Center. So, Ms. Crockett, I'm gonna come back and I'm more specific in the details as it relates to USDA, and I say one USDA in itself, and the various agencies, and those who may be online, that I would refer to them in a specific area as a part of the conversation as we have discussion regarding the agency. Mr. Crockett.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ashley Crockett, Will Richmond, as you guys remember me, or Bradford. And speaking of, I want to first, before I get into this, I want to thank everyone who supported our family this past week on the passing of my uncle. That was a big loss, and you know what he meant to this town, and our family legacy itself. So again, thank you guys for coming out. I mean, it's a reminder of home. You know what I mean? It was so good to see everybody, embrace everybody, and that's just an example of who we are in Crossett, you know? I was telling somebody the other day, they just don't make neighbors like that anymore. Because you couldn't tell me that Miss Rogers was not my family, okay? Or the Jeffersons next door, or the Masons across the street. So for that reason, again, y'all, I want to thank y'all for having me or having us here today. Now, let me tell you this is not my idea. Even though Dr. did mention it last year, he said, you know, we need to go to Crossett. And I said, you know, I'm from Crossett, right? He was like, oh, you kind of a country girl. I'm like, yeah, because you know, people from Crossett, they used to say that we thought we were better than but they didn't know that we had some of the best educators here. Like when I go to other places, they know I have a little country twang, but look, Miss Radford was not about to let us walk around talking any kind of way. Okay, Miss Dorothy Loftus, I can go on and on, but again, that is a part of what family, community, all that is. And but I'm being honest with you guys, it took me a while to come back home because I didn't really feel like it was home. And before y'all say anything, it's not that I didn't know I could come over to Miss Roberta's house if I needed to, or my uncle's house. I would always go over there, of course. But back in 2007, when we lost my grandparents, we lost a lot of things that year. And not knowing, the main thing was our house. I don't know if you guys know how that even happened, but I will set the record straight on that. Just like what they were saying before, resources that we don't know anything about. Had I known about what this job does, I probably would have come right out of college because that was actually my senior year when that happened. And I look up and my name is on the deed to the house with the rest of my mom's siblings, because of course, you know, my mom is deceased. And so I didn't know anything about being on deeds of on property, how to keep it, none of the not, right? And my grandfather had paid the house off years ago, but he needed renovations, just like a lot of the house around. Built back in the late or mid 60s. So foundation issues were happening, roofing issues, plumbing was growing. And so he set out, went to the bank, got a loan, and did not know he would not be able to pay that loan off. Did not know he and my grandmother were not 30 minutes apart from each other. So I know y'all remember this again, one of those heavy blows that we have as a Bradford family, but it makes it stronger. But the main thing is, I want to say this behind that is, had I known again about the 504 program, it is the USDA's version of the home repair program. And what that does is it gives resources to individuals in rural areas like Crossett to do those same renovations, the ones that my grandfather needed back then. And when you are 62 years of age or older, you automatically qualify for a $10,000 grant in that particular program. So you're able to get $50,000 in that particular 504 program. It's called a grant/loan program. So if you don't qualify for the grant part of it, of course, there is, or let's say you only need $10,000 to repair the house. Well, if you only need that $10,000, you won't have to have anything to pay as long as you're 62 years of age or older. Now, it is based on your income, of course. You cannot make a certain, I don't know what it is for Ashley County. I don't know if anybody on my staff may know, but there's a certain percentage that are a certain amount that you can't go over per county. And so, so you have to be mindful of those social security benefits. They may be a little bit more, or they may put you out of the bracket in that particular program. But as long as you are in that bracket, you're able to, 62 years of age or older, you're able to get that home repair program. There's also the 502 program, which is so funny when I say 502 because 502 North Missouri was my home. So the 502 program is the USDA's version of the first time home buying program. And what that does, I believe, Dr. last time, how much was up for Arkansas?
Roughly $368,000 maximum.
The max is $368,000 to qualify for. And what those funds are for is to build your home from the ground up if you prefer to do that, or you can select a home that's already manufactured and you can mortgage that home on that particular loan program. Again, it's for rural development, rural areas like Crossett. So, you know, if you're in the Little Rock area, those metropolitan areas, you won't qualify, but Crossett definitely does qualify for that. So, other programs in rural development, those are the main ones that I focus on. Like they said also, and I don't have anything written out because I was just gonna come because of who knew that my uncle would pass. And the funeral will be yesterday, and then today will be the meeting because I don't do planning on the meeting. So I was just gonna say, hey, everybody, and thank you. But you know, with our partners, like Doc said, there are some things going on in the administration that is, you know, preventing them from being a part of things like this. But that still won't stop our mission. And before you guys ask, I have been asked 1,000,001 times yesterday if I'm still a journalist. I will always be a journalist. But being a journalist, you know, going out and report the same stories about these communities, killing, robbing, we need to find out why Cookie is robbing the liquor store. Oh, what happened that led to the shooting that gunned down this 14-year-old kid. And the main thing is, we all know, lack of resources. He was trying to get something. He was trying to, you know, he was robbing someone for a reason. And so I said to myself, I said, if I'm not going to be a part of the change, why am I doing this? What am I doing? What am I doing with my career? And so my idea originally was to marry the two, which Doc and I were supposed to be doing a segment on Channel 7 in Little Rock, where we talked about these programs on there. Because again, just like the mayor's assistant was saying, you just don't know about it. It's not like these resources are not out here. We just don't know about it. We don't have the knowledge about it. So again, that is why I am here. I work for ALCDC, which is Arkansas Land and Farm Development Corporation, also under Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation. So if you have any questions about those programs, we can go into detail about, you know, how the application process works, but I want to keep on time, you know, as Doc said, and make sure that you guys get all the information on USDA programs itself. So thank you guys for coming out, and hopefully we'll visit you guys soon again, because I want to come back next time. I'll make sure that we have more people out, because I tried to go to churches yesterday, or Sunday rather, but there was so much going on with my, you know, arrangements and everything, my family. So I did the best I could, but originally, again, I wasn't a part of it. I knew my job was coming down here and I was going to be in attendance. But I'm so glad to see you guys come out, and hopefully you guys can take advantage of some of those resources that are out there, okay?
USDA Natural Resource Conservation Services. Now that's most of Arkansas is, a great deal of Arkansas, you know, it's a predominantly rural state. Area I live in, you're talking about a rural small town area, a lot of agriculture. You know, as I was driving, coming into Crossett, and so you look at the scenery is different because you have the hills and the curves on the highway, and the economy itself can be visually seen. You know, a great contributor to the economy itself can be seen. All the beautiful trees, one, And then when you see all of the trucks, what I call the 18-wheeler type trucks that you have in this area. In my area, you would have 18-wheeler grain trucks. In this area, you have 18-wheeler log trucks. So you don't see that many grain trucks. So I'm assuming that from the agriculture perspective, then forestry agriculture is a big contributing factor and a part of the industry here. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's part of the industry here as well. And of course, USDA Conservation, Natural Resource Conservation Services offer resources in every area of agriculture. If you're a row crop farmer, if you're into forestry, you have small scale forestry, or you have land that have trees on it, then they have programs that can be beneficial for you. But the other thing they have to offer is for farmers, and you do not have to be a large farmer. Now, you can have an acre, a half acre, or a lot, and get a farm number, and you will be established as a farmer, and you can access USDA, NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Services that's available. Now, I say that, and hopefully both the mayor's office as well as all of you who are present here today will see that as an opportunity. Years ago, going back, you didn't hear talk of a large farmer, a family farmer, then the family farmer is farming a minimum of 3,000 acres, 1,000 acres, 5,000 acres. So that's a small family farmer. But that is a small family farmer, a mid-sized family farmer nowadays. When you're talking about operations of 20,000 acres, 10,000 acres, and larger, then those are small family farms. But there are farming opportunities now as beginning farmers, particularly. It could be, again, it could be a lot or two lots, double lots in the city. And you can benefit from the resources available both through Farm Service Agency and through Natural Resource Conservation Services. One of the programs is called EQIP. And EQIP, Natural Resource Conservation Services, Natural Resource Conservation Services, they offer that particular program that will allow you to put up a hoop house. A hoop house is large as this room here. And you can raise vegetables for the most part almost year round. It extends the growing season for you raising vegetable crops. And this amount of space, you can raise a lot of vegetables when you extend the growing season for those particular crops that you may be growing. The other program they have available is what they call conservation easement program. They gave reference to air property. In some cases, you have individuals that have air property, and they may be renting the land out for farming purposes. It may be timberland that you have. And I won't try to get into that, how timberland works with the conservation easement and how they make assessments, on determination as to eligibility requirement if you wanted to put it into a conservation easement. But that's another program that's available through Natural Resource Conservation Services, and you can put it in either for a 15-year time period or you can put it in permanent. And if it goes in permanent, but you still own the land. So you get payment and you still own the land that you may have, it may be air property, it may be your own personal property, whichever. So that's NRCS. If they're online, then I'll ask them to give additional information as it relates to Natural Resource Conservation Services and what they have to offer. The other area is Farm Service Agency, USDA Farm Service Agency. USDA Farm Service Agency, they have their program side and they have their financing side. I would say their lending side, and they have their program side. Now, actually, if you're going to benefit from the USDA Natural Resource and Conservation Services programs available, one of the first things you have to do is to get a farm number. That's to get a farm number. And in order for you to get a farm number for that land, I'm just gonna say you have a lot that's in the Crossett area, and you want to get that lot classified as a farm in order for you to either lease it out as a farm to someone who may want to access the program services, or you may want to for someone else who may want to operate it as a farm. Then you can lease that particular acre, half acre, or a lot as a farm with the farm number. Now, what's the benefit of that? The benefit of that is that if an individual leases that land and they want to access the program services from NRCS, then there's a plus part for them becoming the operator, leasing that lot from you to raise vegetable crops on, and participating in that particular type of what we call micro-urban farm business enterprise. One is that you would execute the lease with them with the farm number. The second thing that will be important on that is make sure that you execute the lease in a manner that shows that that individual has access to that farm for a minimum of 5 years. I don't recommend 7 years, but for a minimum of 5 years, that they have access to that farm, that micro small farm.
FSA on it.
Yes.
FSA is on it.
FSA is on, okay. I'm gonna come back to FSA. I'm gonna finish up on NRC, so coming back around to FSA to let them talk about the programs, how they offer those programs, both on the program side, different programs, on the program side as well as on the loan side. The other thing I'm gonna give more details on will be the USDA rule development. I'll come back and talk about that. Meanwhile, if we have FSA on, then we're gonna open it up at this point to farm service agents. Are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. I don't know how many we have out there because I can't see y'all, and y'all probably can't see me unless you're online. I do apologize for that. Unfortunately, we are under travel restrictions right now, but I'm here and online with you, and I do have some information to share with you. So the first thing, like Dr. King was talking about, is in order to do business with any of the USDA offices, just about, well, except for rural development, unless you're doing some farm stuff with them, you do need to have a farm number. So the first step in doing that is contact your local FSA office and consider what your vision is for your farm, what are your challenges, and contact that office and set up an appointment. For beginning farmers and ranchers, those are farmers that have not operated a farm more than 10 years. Or for legal entities, all the members have to be related by blood and not have farmed for more than 10 years as well. FSA offers help for unique concerns for producers who meet the historically underserved definitions, which are socially disadvantaged, limited resource, military veterans, and women. So we do have some special circumstances for different programs for those areas. The same with urban farmers. Excuse me. A big thing that we're seeing a lot more activity in would be rooftop farms, for instance, diversifying farming, hydroponics. Not so much in this area, but nationwide, there has been an uptick in those types of farms. So we are shifting gears to also include being able to help those types of farming operations. Because as you know, urban farmers work among a very diverse population. So we're trying to expand on getting nutritional, valuable resources to the American public. Organic farmers, we also have some help with organic certification cost share that's available. Some of these things I don't have in my area, so if you ask questions, I might not know the answer, but I can find out the answer for you. So let's talk about how do you get that farm number. If you haven't worked with FSA before, then you do have to get a farm number. And in order to do that, or even within RCS, there is no minimum acreage to register a farm number. What we have to have is a copy of a deed, an overhead map. You'll need to make an appointment, probably schedule about 30 minutes of time with your local office there. And I said the deed. If the land is owned, say in a trust or by a corporation or by an LLC, a lot of people will put their land into an LLC or a trust. I don't know. I'm not a tax attorney. I assume that's probably for tax reasons and for for property planning in the future as well. Then you will need it to bring in proof of who can sign for those particular entities. During your visit, you also may end up signing a few forms just to get prepared for any programs that you might participate in. But this is why you kind of need to have your vision for what you want to farm. Are you doing bees? Are you doing vegetables? Are you row cropping? Are you wanting to plant trees? Just those types of things. You kind of have to have a vision for what you want to do so that we know which direction to go. Now, excuse me one sec. Sorry about that. I have been under the weather, as we all have with these allergies. So let's talk about air property for just a second. USDA, we can help you establish a farm number and gain access to a lot of services, even if you have air property that you inherited. Now, simply put, air property is family-owned land that is jointly owned by descendants of a deceased person. In 2018 Farm Bill, it authorized alternative documentation for heirs property operators to be able to establish a farm number. So before, if you didn't know who the owner was, you couldn't be an operator on that farm by our rules. You had to have that permission from that owner. Well, the problem is, if that owner is deceased and they have 20 heirs that have not settled up their heirship yet, then that operator is out of luck. There's nothing we can do for them. But the 2018 Farm Bill changed all that. It made it a lot easier for us to establish operators on farms. A lot of time, if you can't provide a lease document because that said owner is dead, then there's a few things that we can do. Of course, now this varies by state, and there was a Uniform Partition of Heirs Property Act that was established, and it helps preserve the family wealth. It passes to the next generation in the form of real property. If a landowner dies intestate, which means they don't have a will, the real estate passes to the landowner's heirs as tenants in common. Luckily, Arkansas is one of those states that have the UPHPA, is what we call it, Heirs Property Act. The following are accepted to establish you as a farm operator. A court order stating that the land does meet the definition of heirs property as defined by that act, or a certification from the recorder of deeds that says that it is heir property and at least one heir has initiated the retitle of the land. So that's one way we've been able to help. We also have some other ways, tax returns for the previous 5 years, self-certifications, different things like that. But the two most valuable things are the court order or the certification from the local recorder of deeds. Now, what about establishing farm ownership? We need a copy of a deed, a land purchase contract, or if it is heir property, proof of certification that it is air property. We can take an affidavit of heirship, a real estate tax assessment bill, a will, preferably if the owner is deceased, the will dictate who it goes to next. But a lot of air property does not have a will. And so we have to go through the affidavit of heirship or ownership to establish that. So as I said before, contact your local FSA office. Also, we do have a website it's fairly new. It's changing all the time, getting better and better. Anything that you need to find about USDA and NRCS and the like, you can find at farmers.gov, G-O-V, farmers.gov. Let's see, I'm going to skip through some of these slides. FSA we do have some future meetings come up. It's the third or fourth Thursday, May through August. So May 22nd, June 26th, July 24th, August 28th. These are online meetings. There are links that you can get to join the meeting. You just contact your local FSA office and they can get that for you. We'll have FSA at the different meetings. FSA will be on every one of them, but we'll also have things like we have a Arkansas Game and Fish biologist is going to be on there. We have the Arkansas State Miss Leslie Cooper, who is going to be doing a pollinator initiative. She'll be speaking. We have the local extension office that will be speaking about some national things like that. So if you're interested in joining these meetings to gain more knowledge, then contact your local FSA office and they can get you the link to these meetings. And that is it for me. Let me stop sharing so I can see if they're okay.
Let me ask you, do we have the FSA representative on to talk about the lending side?
To talk about the loan side? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
From loan side.
I don't see him on here. I don't know a lot about the farm loan side. I do know that there is a couple of different ways, a couple of different types of loans. Is there a particular question out there that if I know, I'll be happy to answer it, but I'm not on the loan side, so I don't know if I'll know the answer.
That's okay. I'll speak to the loan side. I just want to know if we had a representative on. The other is on the program side where you are now. I know you gave reference to the farm number. What other services are offered on the program side outside of getting the farm number?
Okay, for on the FSA side, there are a couple of different programs that a brand new farm number may be eligible for. For instance, if someone has bees, they're a beekeeper and they lose their colony. We have an emergency livestock program, which bees are under livestock for USDA. It's called ELAP that can help recoup your losses for, say, a lost colony of bees. We also have the non-insurable crop program, which is a program, it runs similar to crop insurance, but it is not crop insurance. It is for programs that you cannot get, it is for crops that you cannot get crop insurance for. So it's a safety net for, say, vegetable farmers. There's a lot of vegetables that cannot be insured by regular RMA crops insurance. So NAP takes the place of that, if you will. That is a program, and as of right now, if you were in a historically underserved category, you can obtain coverage, basic coverage, and the service fee is waived. So you can get basic coverage for $0 if you are growing fruits and vegetables or any of the other crops that might meet that criteria. Other programs we have, if you have livestock, say you're a cattle farmer and you're going to have 20 head of cows on this new farm. If there is a drought, we have a program called Livestock Forage Program. Once now we go by the drought monitor, and that is nationwide. I have no control over that. No county office has control over that. We just have the rules, and once the drought monitor hits, say, D2 for 8 weeks, then your county could possibly be eligible to obtain recoup some money on your grazing costs. Those are the three main ones that stand out for me for brand new farms. Depending on what the vision is for the farm, there may be other programs that it might be eligible for, but those are the three main ones that come through our office.
Well, let me ask this on the program side through your office. I don't know if you cover multiple counties or not, and you don't see a lot of open farmland in this area. But what about the Conservation Reserve Program?
We do have, excuse me, the CRP program was extended through the 2018 Farm Bill, but at this time we do not have a sign up for Conservation Reserve. That's announced yearly. Generally, in order to qualify for that, the farm has to have a history 12 through 17, 2012 through 2017. 3 out of those 5 years they had to have been farming. So that doesn't really help brand new farms. But if it's an established farm with a history and there may be some low-lying areas that it's not farmed very well, say it stays too wet or something like that, you want to cut out those 3 or 4 acres and put in the Conservation Reserve Program, that might be something, to look into. But as I said, those signups are announced yearly, and we don't have a sign up for 2025 at this time. They normally are not announced till April and May. And when I say announced, I mean they announce it and they tell us what types. There are different types of CRPs, if you will. You can do trees and grasses, you can do wetland trees. There's a lot of types of CRP. So when they announce the program, they announce the types that are eligible also. And at this time, I don't know what that would be.
What's been the average payment per acre?
It varies by county, because it is based on the soil types in the county. For instance, ours is around $62 for Drew. I don't know what Bradley and Calhoun's are because there are no row crops over there, so I don't know what that is off the top of my head. But it's different in every county because it is based on the soil types in the county. And also it is based on the cash rent agreements through the ag census also.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure we gave reference to those. The other area, I'm just going to speak briefly about the financing side with USDA Farm Service Agency. Along with the micro urban farm, the smaller farming operations, accessing the farm number and other programs that you can benefit from with FSA, such as what I call mitigating the risk factor that can be involved in producing vegetable crops. And I don't care, again, if it's small acreage, if it's a half acre, if it's 2 acres, whichever, taking advantage of the NAP program, it again reduces the risk factor to the extent that if you have major loss based upon the criteria for the NAP insurance program, then you have the opportunity to recoup some of your investments that you put into producing that particular crop. Just as you gave reference to the livestock program, they have all that. But they also have a micro loan program. So if you're a beginning farmer and you're going to establish yourself as a micro urban farmer, a micro smaller farmer, period, then they have the small loan program up to $50,000 for the micro loan program for operating expenses. And that's for equipment to operate the small acreage. It could be, that would be for your other input costs, you know, that you would have as a part of your budget in operating your field expenses, your seed costs, any chemical and fertilizer that would be involved in producing that particular crop. Just like any other farming operation, then your operating loan would cover what your operating expenses would be for that small farm or that micro-urban farm. And in a lot of the larger cities, it's amazing how fast the micro-urban farm has been growing, where they're using small acreage to produce crops. They're participating in farmers markets. You can also, they have been at least participating with the school, a farm to school program where they actually use the school as their market outlet for selling the vegetable crops that they produce. Now in Arkansas, and I don't know exactly what the status of this particular program is now, but at one time, Arkansas was offering the food bank or the food pantry. And let me ask this to the representative of the mayor. Do you all have a food pantry here in Crossett? Okay, well, see, you have a food pantry in Crossett. A few years ago, we worked with some individual farmers, and they were supplying the local food pantries or the food bank. They're doing it in Little Rock also. So they produce the vegetable crops. They submit the application in to the Department of Agriculture and then back then to the food bank to be on the list, get established as an eligible supplier. Then they deliver their particular crops or the produce to the food pantry, and they are paid directly by the food bank. So, and I'm hoping that particular market will grow more. I call them food hubs, food market hubs, because the combination of that, it's a combination of both a hub market for the producers and food access for the individual consumers, those who can benefit from a food pantry. So that's one of the other areas that if you're getting along, one of the things you need to be able to say, this is how I'll be marketing my particular crop that I'm going to be producing. Either direct to consumers would be another, and the other looking at other outlets you can sell to. Some sell again into farmers market. You may have a farmers market in this area as well. So the microloan, $50,000 for operating expenses. If you've been operating for 3 years or more as a beginning farmer, then you can qualify for up to $50,000 of a capital loan, $50,000 loan to purchase land. So if there's a small farm, maybe 10 acres, 5 acres, whichever, and you want to expand your production with your micro-urban farm, your small farming operation, then you will be eligible to purchase that land up to $50,000 as a capital loan for purchasing land. The other is the regular operating loan, a beginning farmer. And we've had some really great experiences with individuals that have become beginning farmers in Southeast Arkansas, where they decided to become livestock producers and got into the business of raising livestock. And one of them, you may see a picture of them on our newsletter that will be coming out pretty soon. But if you are a beginning farmer, a farm operator, a seasonal farm operator, less than 10 years, 10 years or less than 10 years, the direct loan, operating loan, maximum amount that you can receive or apply for is up to $400,000 for an operating loan. So you can get an operating loan for your ranching operation or any other type of expensive, whatever type of farming operation you have. It could be livestock, it could be traditional row crop, whichever, but up to $400,000 as a maximum operating loan. Now that operating loan will be used both for your regular operating expenses. Again, it could be pesticide, herbicide, it could be fencing, it could be seeding and things of that nature, and it can also be for equipment. So if you purchase equipment as a part of your operating loan, and of course, that's not due and payable, all of it at the end of that season of that year. You have up to 7 years to pay off the equipment loan. But the regular operating expenses for your farm within that farming season, end of the year, then you have to pay all of that portion of the loan off. I'm just gonna give an example. If you get a $20,000 loan, you have $200,000 in expenses for equipment, and you have $200,000 in regular operating expenses, then that $200,000 for equipment, you have 7 years to pay that. So that's time payout on that. Annual year end on the other $200,000. They also have a guaranteed loan program. If you're going to participate with USDA Farm Service Agency and say the $400,000 is not enough, that I'm going to need at least $800,000 for the size of operation that I'm going to be starting off with again, and maybe ranching, and you're going to be purchasing some breeding stock along with your other operating expenses. I'm only using $800,000 as an example. Then again, the annual 7-year period of time to pay off the equipment that may be involved in that. You also have, you don't have on your breeding. How many years is on breeding stock, Mike?
7.
7 years on breeding stock. Okay, so for your breeding stock and for your equipment, you have 7 years to pay that off. So that means you're going to have breeding stock there, whatever the inventory base is, for that period of time of 7 years, along with the equipment, which would be still held as security or collateral for that particular portion of the loan. And then your other regular operating expenses that may be involved, veterinary costs and things of that nature, seeding, pastures, and maybe hay and other feed expenses that if you deal with a ranching operation. So again, but that one on the guarantee loan, it's more than the regular direct operating loan, but you have to get that through a local bank. That means the bank would make you the loan, and they partner with USDA to guarantee that loan up to 90% on the guaranteed loan program side. I don't know exactly what the maximum is, but I do know it's over $1 million in dealing with the Farm Service Agency for the guaranteed loan program. Do we have anyone on from NRCS? Okay, don't have anyone on NRCS. I'm going to just briefly again talk about Natural Resource Conservation Program Service. You heard from FSA, they did an excellent job, talking about the program side, how to access the farm number, or how to establish a farm by getting the farm number to have your land that you have control of or ownership of, and showing that you have the control of that land. When I say control of, I'm saying giving them the proof that you have the authorization either as an administrator or you have a lease from individuals who have that authority to lease the land to you. And that individual as an operator able then to access the resources from Natural Resource Conservation Services. We'll talk briefly on USDA rural development. Ms. Crockett gave reference to rural development and housing, the 502 and the 504 program. Now those are grants and loans made directly to individuals for housing. And I don't know if the mayor's office has worked with individuals as developers in this area, getting housing done, but that's also another approach that can be taken to address housing issues that exist. We have operated as developers also, and we have utilized one of the rural development other housing programs called the 515. And the 515, now that's not at the local level. You can't apply for that if you are a developer, individual from an entrepreneurship perspective in dealing with housing development, wanting to work with the city to provide affordable housing. And I say affordable housing because the 515 is an affordable housing program, multi-family housing program. We have utilized that program to build some affordable housing apartment units. Working back with the architect, a nice engineer with a nice design. Well, small town, small community population less than Crossett. Now that Crossett about 3 times larger. One of the areas that we utilize that particular program in. I don't think it's changed, but when the application is made, that you apply at the national level. So you're competing nationally for that. Anyone that you know that's a developer, the mayor's office may know who are developers and say, we really want to address this housing program here in Crossett. Would you work with us to develop affordable housing in our community and those individuals who are working and fall within that particular category, eligible for affordable housing. 515 is one. The other program, they also have a first-time home buyers program that's through Arkansas Development Finance Authority. In certain cases, some of the banks will work with Arkansas Development Finance Authority to utilize the first-time home buyers program. The whole process and how they're executing that program now and all the details we do not have, but Arkansas Development Finance Authority is a resource for creating affordable housing opportunities in the local community. The other one I want to mention, in particular with the mayor's office being president, is Federal Home Loan Bank. Now, I didn't think to look at my list before I left coming to this meeting, but local banks, and I'm going to mention this, particularly, after you have made mention online and virtually that the information had not been provided across all these programs and how to access these programs as it relates to housing. So I definitely want to mention this one also. It's Federal Home Loan Bank. Federal Home Loan Bank is a major resource for creating affordable housing opportunities. And that's a grant program. It's a grant program. But the bank has to make the application, submit the application. It could be with a local nonprofit developing a model program to deal with housing issues in the local community. It may be a combination of both a rehab, partnering back, because that would be private sector, partnering back with USDA Rural Development, Federal Home Loan Bank, and a nonprofit organization or organization, maybe a civic group, church group, whichever, but putting that type of partnership together, developing the application to create an affordable housing program with a combination of both the 504 program, which would be both grant and loan, and with added grant money coming through partnering with the bank, to do the rehab that may be needed in your local community. Again, that's sort of the programs available through rural development directly on the 515 program, the 502, the 504 program, and the type of partnerships that can be created as it relates to housing development in the rural area, both from the state perspective and with your local banks. Federal Home Loan Bank. Basically, all the major banks are members of Federal Home Loan Bank. That's another opportunity, and we'll be more than happy to follow back up with you if that's something that the city wants to pursue, and looking at the type of potential partnerships that can come together are a partnership that you want to create working with a local nonprofit organization to approach housing in this local community in that way. But we'd be more than happy to actually work with you on that. That's USDA rural development combination back with other types of partnerships, or what I call layered resource opportunities that can be taken advantage of. USDA rural development does more than just housing though. They provide financing and resources for community facilities, such as your community center here, and you all have a nice community center. The city does. They provide financing for cities to purchase police cars, they work with them on fire protection, municipality on other community facility buildings as well. They have both the land, the loan, and grant programs in that area. That's USDA rural development. Again, they have those programs available. And they have their grant and loan program for business enterprises. And a lot of people really don't understand. Most of those programs are actually administered from the state level. But if an individual has a business operation that's going and they want to expand that business, going to create new jobs, economic impact for the local community, then they have a direct loan program and a guaranteed loan program that they administer. USDA rural development has that available, as well as a business grant program. I think it's business enterprise grant program. That's administered from the state level as well. Along with community facilities, working with cities from facility perspective and equipment and things of that nature, they also provide the financing for infrastructure. They provide the financing for infrastructure, water, sewer systems. In some of our rural communities, you'll find that the infrastructure is not up to par where it needs to be. There may be a need for upgrading the infrastructure, water, hot sewer system. Then this is the agency where you would get those resources from for your local community to deal with the infrastructure and water sewer system. USDA rural development. You understand saying that USDA rural development could literally build a whole city. And based on the program that I talked about and what they offer resources for, that is true. They can support community facilities and financing. They can support the business enterprises and new business enterprise startups, particularly business enterprise expansions. They can support with resources for infrastructure, development and expansion. They can support housing. Now, one thing that they don't do, they don't finance production agriculture. But as far as the city itself and the community itself, from a resident perspective, they offer all of those resources to local communities. The same challenge exists with USDA rural development as it does with natural resource conservation services in some of our local communities. And that is air property. It's down to air property again. I have seen so many cases. I worked with a case, it's been a few weeks ago, maybe 3 months ago now, where this individual family member had lived in this home ever since the parents had passed. She took care of the parents before they passed. She continued to live there afterward with support of her siblings. I won't say fortunate, but anyway, she didn't have a large, now if it was my family, I'd be in trouble, okay? Because it was 11 of us. And I won't even start to count, because some of my siblings have deceased, then their children. So if you start adding on that, the number just get way, way out there. But fortunately, my parents, they left a will. They had a living will that rolled into a trust. And so they have specifics in that as to how that trust has to be administered. I serve as the administrator for that trust, and of course, I have trustees that I have to report to. But again, it was heir property, there was no will, and individuals are living there, but there's a need to get repair work done on that house. And you know, over the years, things will deteriorate. I mean, that's just life itself. You know, just like our bodies. Over the years, I bet you don't feel like you did when you were 25 years old. If anybody that does, I want to know a ton of you, right? So, but anyway, houses and real property that happen. You know, it will go just the opposite direction if you don't take care of it. If you don't take care of that real property, that house, it's going to depreciate in value. It's not going to be worth as much. Because you can do things to that property and it will be just the opposite. It will appreciate or increase in value. So, just like with our own body, if we don't take care of it in a certain way, then you're just not going to be up to par. That's it. So, if it's heir property and there is no will and the estate has not been probated and the family able to get the court decree where all those who have vested interest in that property with them establishing and administrating for that estate, then you're going to have the same challenges dealing with that family home as you would in accessing some of the other resources from USDA as well. So again, heir property can be a barrier to accessing resources. And so again, one of those areas that sometimes a major contributing factor to communities in certain categorical areas, contributing factor for those communities to be underserved in addressing that particular area or in accessing certain resources to deal with a particular area where those resources can be beneficial to you, be it in housing, be it in opportunities for micro-urban farming, as an example, for that. So, heir property is something that it doesn't just, some people think, well, okay, I'm not bothered by what's going on over there because it's not bothering me. Well, it's bothering you. It is bothering you. If you take a house, and I'm just gonna say as an example, if you take a home and you're within a, say, 4 or 5 block area, and then whatever number of houses there may be in those particular blocks, I'm just going to give an example. Say it's 8 houses, okay? And if it's 8 houses in that area, and you have 3 houses that just have not been kept up, and they lend themselves to attract other things that's displeasing to the residents in that area. There may be individuals, if there's a homeless situation where people may be staying there and create fire hazards, some other things that may be occurring. And I don't mean the house being down the street from you and you up here, but within that vicinity. Those homes, those houses, that property continue to depreciate, also make your property less valuable. If there are activities that's a result of that property not being taken care of, so people hang out down there and shouldn't be there, then you have to have more police activities back and forth in that community, in that area, then your property will not be as marketable either. You be saying, folks, well, you put this like anyone normally say, I really would love to stay in that community, but it just requires too much of a police presence in that area because of what goes on and what happens in that area, because they have that vacant property there and they got things that it's not pleasing to the eye because the property is not being kept up. Well, it affects you. It affects the entire community. The entire community. So again, the benefits of the resources to the individuals, not just beneficial to those individuals that have a need for those resources, but it's also beneficial as it relates to the overall community as a whole. So that's on the rural development, on the housing side, additional points, on the housing side. And I'll try to answer any questions in any of those areas once I make this point as well. I don't know how familiar you all are with drones. In other words, where you all see the children, they may be flying drones around and you think it's just a recreational thing that they're doing as a toy. Drones are major, I won't say it's new technology, but drones are growing in popularity as it relates to agriculture. Both for livestock, ranching, people can use drones for that purpose, and monitoring their livestock patterns a whole lot faster too, as well. You can also use it in inspecting and dealing with your fields if you're producing vegetable crops. I mean, you got 5 or 6 acres out there. It may not appear to be very, very large, but you start walking over a 5-acre field, it gets to be large after a period of time. But the use of drones can be used for inspecting the plants in those fields for stress purposes, and you have more specifically the location as to where those stress plants may be, both from a pre and a post perspective after planting. So I would encourage, particularly those from the city representation standpoint, but cities use them a lot of times. Just for if they look at patrolling certain areas, looking at certain areas. They use them in doing inspections, being able to visibly see fire situations that may be going on. They use them in forestry as well, checking the forestry areas. So drones are growing more and more in popularity in agriculture, just like everything else is in the from the technology perspective. So if you have young people and you see them, they're understanding and knowing how to operate and deal with drones, encourage them. It's not just a toy that may aggravate you if it's flying too close to you or around your house, but encourage to be in safe areas when they fly, and that they have a better understanding of what is required when you're going to be flying certain types of drones. Even to the extent, encourage them to see or to look at getting the license to fly a drone. Because you're supposed to have a license to fly drones. Once they are licensed, they can start doing that while they're in high school, study to become a drone operator. There could be an occupational career area for them as well, either with their own private business and how they offer it. Because again, people use them for a lot of other purposes other than what I'm giving reference to from a production agriculture perspective and ranching. I was talking to a gentleman, young man, and he was going to get his license because he was having such a demand. He said he was having such a demand for people to be having outside events, and they wanted to get, he would take pictures also, and they wanted him to get shots and pictures of the event taking place on the outside and their family reunions and things of that nature. But I'm talking about from a production agriculture perspective and other areas and how drones can offer opportunities for individuals and increase the technology capacity on farming operations. I probably will my time to time.
You could.
Okay, I'm gonna open it up now for any questions anyone may have, but in the audience, I'll open.
Dr. King,
Yes, sir.
has there been any reference lately to this rare earth, this new phenomenon that America seems to need this rare earth? They're doing low-level flights over Mississippi, parts of Louisiana, all the way up to some dome in Illinois, where they're looking for rare earth. And they just talk about taking it. So, but is that come up and that's rare? Mm-hmm. There are elements in the earth that they use in computer chips.
Atmospheric rare minerals.
Yeah, so some of the minerals. There are some things going on in Arkansas, to my understanding as well, as relates to the, I'm not even, the crypto living for Arkansas. About American.
Lithium mine?
It's right now.
You talking about the new lithium mine?
Okay, that may be it. I've seen it somewhere, I heard it on the news, that they were doing some mining. Yes, quite a bit of mining. I don't know if you all have that going on in this part of the state or not. It's not going on in our area, I don't think so.
It's mainly like southwest Arkansas area where it's happening, and they have some of this again also.
Okay, yeah, you're right. So there's a lot going on as it relates to, I would say, more diversity in how land is looked at as a resource, both from a mining perspective, that being one. The other area is with energy. I'm sure you all, I don't know if you all have it or not, where they're dealing with the windmills. They're leasing land to put the windmills on for generating electricity. The solar energy, there are large fields. There are large fields in our area where they have the solar farms now. So I don't know if much of that is taking place in southeast Arkansas. I mean, you all have definitely, the hills in this area, but it appears that forestry is a dominating factor here from an economy perspective. And you all have some of the lumber processing plants. What are some of the lumber processing plants in this area now?
Georgia Pacific.
They used to be Georgia Pacific.
It's which one?
Georgia Pacific.
Georgia Pacific. Okay, so Georgia Pacific will probably be one of the major ones in this area now, as far as tree production and working with individuals who are tree farmers. So that's a major industry. But one of the other areas was land use itself is concerned, along with mining of certain minerals, is the utilization of land for energy generating purposes. Again, the solar panel farms, and in our area, I know companies that are leasing land for the windmills, as well. I know I've had contact almost from more than one company on some of the land, that we own, that my family owns, and my own personal land, for the purpose of putting windmills on. As my dad always said, one thing they're not making anymore, and that's land. Now, let me just say, one thing they're not making anything anymore yet is land. They're not making anything anymore of that yet. But, you know, I was listening to a report here recently, and they were talking about how they are now going to be, I want to say, growing them, but creating diamonds in space and much faster. Has any of y'all heard about that? Yeah, creating diamonds in space, and the process that it will be done will be much faster than it is if we're mining for diamonds just from the natural earth perspective. So diamond farming in space. So now, if I have it wrong, don't repeat it. But if I have it right, but if I have it right and you hear about it, then you can say, yeah, I heard that meeting I went to. Wow, they really have a lot of information. But if you mention that somebody says not true, they'll say, okay, he got that one wrong. Okay, that was totally wrong. But that's a report I would listen to. Being to exploration of what's taking place in space now, reducing down is one of those things that they're looking at doing. Any questions online?
I have one, on the low income homes.
Yeah.
You know, you said you talking about those that over time they're, you know, kind of went into dilapidation, right, remodeling or something like that. Now, what's the amount of income, because it's a low income, what's the maximum income where you don't qualify?
The max, we were just actually looking at, I think it said 32,000 a year for Ashley County. I'll have to double check to verify because it just changed. A lot of the numbers just changed on March the 7th. So, and I wanted to go back and do a retraction on how much the 502 program, it's now up to $419,300 for Arkansas. So.
This is what, the 19,000?
It was in Arkansas,
Ashley County. Mm-hmm.
Is there any income that's exempt from that? I mean, such as if you reach retirement age, and Social Security is included. What about your pension, VA benefits? Any of those excluded when you calculate the amount of money?
Let me finish your question. Are you saying that if you're drawing Social Security and retirement, would any of that income be excluded to determine the eligibility?
Right.
Okay, no, they would have to use all income to determine the eligibility.
So all the income.
Yes. All what they normally actually look for is your tax report. So you give a copy of your tax returns, and of course reporting the income report which comes out on that. And I've run the cases in the past, or if you just looked at just their Social Security, the eligibility factor was there, but then when you put their retirement income in with it, you know, they were over. They were actually over. And there is and I'm going to make it my business from now on to make sure that we have some of those packets with us, so we can give them to individuals. We'll pass that out along with the other resource information we have, and it will show the category. Like there's a certain income maximum for if there's one person in the household, and then if there's two people in the household, and if there is 4 people in the household.
So we'll include all income.
All income, correct.
Oh, yeah, right.
And you go to the website.
But it's all the income for that particular household. That's why I say the tax return. You know, normally they'll look for, well, provide us with your tax return. Yeah, that certifies the actual income for the household. If they file separate, then they'll want both individuals' tax returns into
The owners.
so
Would it be the owners?
Just the home.
Just the homeowner, so not like they have nieces and nephews or daughters, sons, and it's the homeowners.
Yeah, well, you have to include all income, so if you are taking care of an elderly or mom, dad, and they get social security, you have to include that. If your child is receiving child support payments, you have to include that. Now, there are some certain offsets you can have, like if you are paying out of pocket for your medical expenses, that can be something that can be adjusted.
well, the other thing, is they make adjustments based on dependents.
As well.
So,
Correct.
yeah, so they have dependents in the household, you'll say 4 individuals. If you have 4 individuals in the household, parent, 2 kids or 3 children, then you get, a certain credit base back on those dependents, as well. So our economic dependents that's on that tax return, that's why I gave reference to the tax, the actual tax return, itself on the household income. What's my comment?
Who wants to make comment? Go ahead, get it.
So if you don't, then make sure I would ask you, make sure you pass the information on. And let me give you this also. Mr. Lofton, he mentioned the event that's going to be on the 3rd. Now, this is going to be in Forest City. And again, I know that's a 3-hour drive and a 3-hour drive back. Here's, the first thing when I say it's 3 hours over, 3 hours back, the first thing I think about is, wow, if I would leave home going to Atlanta, I got to be in Atlanta with my grandson. Because with that 6 hours, that's just going up to Atlanta. But let me say this. Our website that you can also go to, if you want to write this down, on our website, if we have information on our website that you can go and you can pull up the website, you'll be able to even see this particular presentation on some of our previous presentations, outreach meetings where we've talked about everything that we've discussed here today, along with the USDA representatives presenting at those meetings. But our website is www.arlcdc.org. It's on the back of your program. On the agenda. You turn it over on the agenda, so hold on to that. It's on the back, right down to the bottom, right at ALCDC membership. That's our website. So you can go to that website if you want to go back and double check anything that's been said here today. If it wasn't said in this particular meeting, then we will have posted where it was said in a previous meeting and where the USDA representatives were discussing all of the program areas that I've talked about here today, both USDA Rural Development, Farm Service Agency, and Natural Resource Conservation Services. We like to try to make sure that the information is out there. And so if there's something you think you didn't get all the notes or information on, you can go to the website and look at some of those particular sessions or listen to the USDA individuals talk about their programs, how those programs are offered, and of course, go by the local USDA center. Now, the USDA center staff will work directly with you on the program they have to offer and what the application process is. And there is an application sign-up process with Natural Resource Conservation Services as well. You have to make an application, turn that in, and then they will send their individuals out to work with you to develop a specific contract for services and what they will offer to you based on how you develop your conservation plan. Yeah, our phone number is also on the agenda. You can give us a call at any time. And that number is also, she's gonna give you the phone number. In other words, my time is up now, so and give everything else. And when you see, I don't have it right anyway, right? So we can come back and get it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc. So, for information that what we've talked about that Doc just presented to you, you can call 870-734-1140, and you will reach Arkansas Land Farm and Community Development Corporation. If you want to talk to Dr. King, or if you want to talk to Ashley Crockett on the housing, or Barbara Irving over there on public relations. As I said, it's 870-734-1140, or our other location, 831 Washington Street in Forest City, Arkansas. You can call 870-594-7000, and you can reach Janie Williams or Larry Lofton. Again, that number is 870-594-7000, and you can reach Janie Williams or Larry Lofton. Also, in your program, it was inserted the evaluation training outreach effectiveness sheet. Make sure that you complete and return it to give it to one of us. It's very important to help us to assure us that we are doing what you are looking for, and that you know the knowledge that you gained today, that we helping us to reach our goals. So if you let us know that we are doing good, what you want more of, talked about. So please let us know. That is very important. You know, whether we address your needs, you are satisfied with the meeting, the opportunities that we have presented and provided you with today. Also, you will have the client intake form, and it will, let us know if you're looking for farming or housing, credit counseling, conservation programs. It will, just mark whatever it is, and then we will reach you by the information that you submit to us. Again, we want to thank you all for coming. And by the way, on behalf of Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation and our CEO, we have refreshments, drinks back there, and make sure that you take it. Thank you, and you all have a safe trip back.